Hey Beckham and Wando, I'm Izzy Klein and you're watching East Cooper Student News. On today's show, 2 Wando students are overcoming adversity in very different ways and are still making an impact at school. Plus, if it feels like more kids are involved in more clubs, that might be the case. We'll take a look at how club attendance has bounced back after COVID. And we've got Wando's signing day and Beckham's playoff run covered. Stay tuned because ECSN starts right now. Thanks for watching ECSN. I'm Izzy Klein. From chocolate milk to ping pong, Wando has a club for just about everything. But in 2020, COVID pushed clubs to the back burner. But ECSN reporter Emma Brooks tells us that in 2023, many clubs have bounced back with big-time attendance.
Thanks, Izzy. Wando's Fellowship of Christian Athletes is one example of club attendance bouncing back to pre-pandemic levels. FCA is a club where students come together to worship, with food, fellowship, and small groups. This school year, Wando's FCA has had meetings with record-breaking attendance since after COVID. But their sponsor said the attendance didn't just happen overnight.
We put little biblical verses on snacks and pass them around to the school and just kind of give everybody a heads up on like, hey, this is FCA, this is what we do, and these are our meetings. We've been publicizing it. We got posters hanging around on the walls. We put it over the announcements.
Student involvement has been huge this year for FCA, with meetings with up to 100 students. But not only have FCA's numbers bounced back since after COVID, but Wando's AP Academy and Beta Club told me they've seen more attendance and involvement too. Back in 2021, Wando's AP Academy had about 16% of the student body enrolled, and now about 20% of the student body is enrolled and actively participating. Reporting in the studio, I'm Emma Brooks.
Thanks, Emma. Wando's not just boasting bigger club numbers, but in November, several Wando athletes signed their national letters of intent. ECSN reporter Gracie Sams joins us for more on signing day.
17 Wando athletes will play sports in college, and on November 8th, teammates, coaches, and parents gathered in the PAC to celebrate. The stage is set at Wando for the early National Signing Day in November, as 17 Wando athletes signed their letters of intent to play sports in college.
First signing day as principal, I'm so proud of these Wando Warriors. Some schools are lucky to have 17 signees over a course of 17 years. We're lucky enough to have it already once during the school year, so I'm super pumped for these Warriors, and an exciting day for Wando.
One of these athletes is Kylie Sino. She signed her letter of intent to play women's soccer at the University of South Carolina.
I'm very overwhelmed with emotions. I'm very excited. It's like a huge accomplishment for everyone, and I'm super excited to continue my athletic career at USC. My next goals are to keep playing and work hard.
All of the athletes on stage at signing day plan to work hard in their sport at the next level. But several coaches pointed out just how big an accomplishment it is for these 17 kids to have the opportunity to play college sports.
Don't ever let anyone tell you you're not special. Too many times we tell our athletes, oh, you're normal, you're not special, but you are special.
6, 7, 8% of kids that play high school get that opportunity to play at the next level, and it's a very big deal.
That's why Principal Coker and Athletics Director Coach Bookman helped organize the signing day event. They wanted everyone to see just how big a deal it is for these student athletes to have a plan for what they're going to do after high school.
It speaks quality and volumes about not only the athletes that we have, but the community we have surrounding them, and I couldn't be more proud.
It's just icing on the cake to see all these kids and their family and their smiles and how proud their parents are.
According to the National Letter of Intent website, athletes can sign their letters of intent before August 1st. The most popular signing day is National Football Signing Day on February 7th, 2024. Reporting in the studio, I'm Gracie Sams.
Thanks, Gracie. While Wando was celebrating signing day, the Lucy Beckham Bengals were trying to make a deep playoff run. ECSN reporter Andrew Peterwright has been covering the Bengals all year and has all the action.
Lucy Beckham going head-to-head against West Florence for the first round of Region 7 4A playoffs. First drive of the game, Bengals. Ball on the 20. Chalmers Ballard hands it off to running back Robert Myers, taking it wide and jumping over West Florence. The Bengals end up not getting the 2-point conversion. Beckham leads 6-0. Following drive for the Bengals. Ballard takes a snap, looking wide. Trevor Reynolds jumps up and makes a catch but gets tackled short. The next play, Myers takes the handoff and runs it in for a second touchdown of the night. Beckham making the extra point and bringing the score 13-0. Bengals cruising, ball on the 17-yard line. Ballard takes a snap, hands it off to Stephen Sagers, running it in for the 4th touchdown of the night. The Bengals go for a 2-point conversion and make it into the end zone to make the score 28-0. Second half, Bengals QB looking downfield, hitting Mason Hombres, who runs it in and dives into the end zone. 34-7. Bengals beating West Florence 37-7 and advance to the next round of playoffs against Lancaster.
With that, Beckham earns the right to host a second playoff game. Andrew Peter Wright is back as Lancaster came to town for round 2.
Round 2 of the Region 7 4A playoffs. Lucy Beckham hosting the Lancaster Bruins. First quarter, Lancaster's QB tosses the ball to the running back, taking it wide and scoring the first touchdown of the game. Lancaster also got the 2-point conversion, Lancaster leading 8-0. The Bruins in the red zone. Lancaster's QB hands it off, and they sneak it through the Bengals defense. The Bruins got another 2-point conversion, taking the score to 16-0 in the first quarter. Beckham down by 16. Chalmers Ballard fakes the handoff and finds their tight end, but does not make the catch. Pass interference gets called on Lancaster. Stephen Segers finding the gap between Lancaster and putting Beckham on the board. The Bengals end up not making the 2-point conversion. 16-6, Lancaster still leads. Bengals trailing by 10. Ballard handing off the ball to Segers, running it all the way down for a 38-yard touchdown. Segers with his second touchdown of the night, 13-16. Lucy Beckham trailing by 12. Lancaster handing the ball off to the running back, beating the Bengals and bringing up their lead. The Bruins with an 18-point lead on the Bengals, 20-38. Lucy Beckham with a well-fought game against the Bruins. Lancaster winning the second round of playoffs and moving on.
Football season is now over for both schools, and Wando's looking for its new football coach this offseason. Coach Adrian re-signed from the position in October. He spent 4 years as Wando's head coach. Athletics Director Coach Butchman says Coach Adrian had a positive impact on his team.
Coach Rocco loved his kids. He certainly did a fabulous job with trying to get them prepared for football, to be role models in the hallway, to become committed to the program, and teaching them to do the right thing, which is obviously walk the Warrior way. I can tell you we're getting applications from all over the place. Some very good qualified candidates have applied so far. We're excited to weed through that process to try to pick out who would be the next leader for our football program in Wando High School.
Wando principal Mr. Coker named Coach James Bell an interim head coach. Off the field, East Cooper students are lighting the way. Wando's theater department put on several showings of The Crucible, followed by a show called Puffs, which is a Harry Potter spin-off. Now, the theater department is preparing for their next big show, Mean Girls. Plus, over at the CAS, career counselors held a career fair. Miss Smith said about 40 different businesses showed up. The career fair gave kids a chance to get an inside look at more than a dozen different industries. For most of us, high school is a chance to figure out what we want to do with the rest of our lives. But for one Wando student, High school is giving him a chance to make up for the lost time. ECSN reporter Scarlett Lewis joins us now with the story of one student fighting a heroic battle.
When you think of a hero, you might think of someone who flies around saving people from burning buildings. But Wando cadet Ben Bechtel doesn't have superhuman powers. He does, however, have a different kind of superhuman strength. Wando cadet Ben Bechtel barks out commands in ROTC class as he looks forward to a heroic-like career in the military.
My family has a good broad spectrum in the military, especially in the Army. So they've kind of encouraged me to join the ROTC to follow in that career path.
He will tell you because he wants to be my boss. I work with the armed forces, so his major goal in life is to be able to boss me around. So eventually he probably will.
But he's not just preparing to be a military hero on the battlefield. He's been on a different kind of hero's journey since he was 8 years old when he got sick.
Nobody really associates the symptoms that he had. He didn't have vomits, he didn't have headaches. He was constantly sick, like a flu type of symptoms.
At first, Ben and his mom Diana didn't know it was a big deal.
Yeah, he was an 8-year-old and they discovered a substantially large mass in the fifth ventricle of his brain.
That was the worst news. Ben was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
So it's scary. It's extremely scary, but most of it is you feel very out of control. You cannot help your child. You just can be there. You become very susceptible about everything that they tell you. So automatically your brain goes into the worst possible place. And you cannot stop it. That's the worst part. You cannot stop yourself.
Ben could not undergo regular chemotherapy treatments. Instead, he participated in a trial for a drug called Day 101. It's an oral chemotherapy drug that Boston Children's Hospital says may have activity against cancer cells. This drug took a big toll on Ben, both mentally and physically.
Kids, like the kids who did have it, were not showing as much symptoms, so they were just going on about their day, you know, not living a very good life. But I was the first kid to show these symptoms in a very dramatic way.
His oncologist reached out to him and said, like, you have, and he had a really, really hard time with the drug, really hard time. He developed chemical burns, his hair turned out white.
It's chemical, so they just give a pill to me, which had a very everlasting effect on my body with being tired, many scars throughout my body, and a loss of interest in a lot of things.
Ben developed some pretty severe side effects, including chemical burns and changes to his skin and hair color. But this gave Ben the opportunity to talk with lawmakers and drug makers about his experience with the drug trial.
He had a really, really hard time. His immune system took a really bad hit. At one point, he developed a fever for 20 straight days. So it was hard. It was very hard on him. So when the oncologist came back and said, do you want to talk to the makers of the drug? Do you want to talk to Congress about why you have gone through? Ben said yes.
I met the governor of Michigan and the governor, I think, of Utah. And they said how it was really cool how I was the head and one of the representatives for this company who was very underdeveloped at the time and is now growing with its new drug, and how they have developed new ways to make sure that kids are safe with this drug.
To date, Ben has survived the cancer and the drug trial. His journey has taken him to Washington, D.C. to talk to politicians and drug makers. Now, Ben and his family want to make sure people know alternative treatments for pediatric cancer need as much research and funding as they can get. While Ben might be training to become a military hero now, he's already been a hero to other kids in the future who may need access to a treatment like his. Reporting for ECSN, I'm Scarlett Lewis.
Thanks, Scarlett. In October, the Food and Drug Administration accepted the Day 101 application for priority review. The FDA also gave Day 101 a breakthrough therapy designation. The drug maker says Day 101 has been tested in more than 300 people now, and that it's currently in phase 2 of a clinical trial. Another student at Wando is pushing through recent adversity. ECSN reporter Sailor Picaro tells us how one family is rebuilding their life after a horrific house fire.
This is what a typical lunch looks like for sophomore Reese Glover, sitting with her friend Emma Vokes. But on the afternoon of September 20th, Reese's lunch was anything but normal.
I look at my phone and I got a text from my dad saying our house is on fire. And I was like, what? And I thought it was joking. I literally showed all my friends and I was like, oh, he's joking. And then one of my family friends, or one of my neighbors, walks into the cafeteria and shows pictures of flames coming out of my garage.
This is the picture Reese is talking about. You can see flames coming out of 2 of the garage windows.
I fell backwards and I was like so in shock.
Reese wasn't the only one at school. Her mom, Stephanie Glover, is a 3rd grade teacher at Whitesides Elementary School and found out her house was on fire while lining her kids up for recess.
Honestly, I think I jumped over a 3rd grader that was sitting down waiting to line up.
As Stephanie rushed home, she was worried about more than just the house.
And I said, please get my dog out of the house. Please get my dog out of the house. I don't remember driving from Whitesides to Brickyard, but I do remember when I got into Brickyard, I smelled the smoke, I saw the smoke.
That just showed me how bad it was, and as soon as I got out of the car, you could just smell it. And they first wouldn't let me through.
One of the Glover's neighbors got their dog out of the house, and thankfully he is okay, but on the other hand, their house clearly isn't. As of now, their house is still standing, but is completely ruined. And now the Glovers are trying to figure out their next steps.
We didn't really know what to do. We didn't know, like honestly, where we were staying that night, we didn't find out until like 8 o'clock that night. And I went to school the next day just trying to keep life as normal as possible.
And that's what they're trying to do now. Just live as normal as possible, but that's hard because they've moved 4 times in the last 5 weeks.
There's been a lot of ups and downs. There's been exciting moments like we got a puppy. And there's been hard moments like walking through the house and seeing everything get taken out. And now we're in our new house. It's great. But it's just been day by day. I'm okay. As good as I can be, it still doesn't really feel real. Like, I have to like sometimes drive by the house to like pick things up or like pick up packages. And like driving towards the house, it looks so normal when you like come around the corner, and then it just isn't.
As they pick up the pieces of their life, Reese and her family say that they're getting by with the help of the Wando community.
I've never felt the love that I felt when that first happened. And everybody was like slowly starting to find out, and as people found out, they were texting me, and people like I've never even met before have like donated gift cards, and people I barely talked to have given me money, and like words cannot explain how like thankful me and my family are for all of that. Like, it's been pretty crazy to see people come together like they did.
Miss Glover told us that they lost 99% of their belongings. She also told us that now they're going to have to rebuild the house by tearing it down at the foundation. Reporting for ECSN, I'm Sailor Picaro.
Thanks, Sailor. Reese and her mom have said the entire East Cooper community has been incredibly supportive throughout their entire situation. Before we end the show, we want to acknowledge that today is December 1st, and we're now in the holiday season. ECSN reporter Sam Sieverdes and Beck Sasser bring us the history of the major holidays this season, told to us by social studies teachers.
Kwanzaa is a 7-day festival that starts on December 26th to January 1st. The first Kwanzaa was in 1966 as a way for African Americans to reconnect with their African culture. The principles of Kwanzaa are unity, self-determination, responsibility, purpose, creativity, and faith. Every day they'll light a candle for one of those principles.
In 1621, the first Thanksgiving feast was held in the New World between the English colonists, the Pilgrims, and the Native Americans, the Wampanoag tribe. During the harsh winter, a Native American named Squanto taught them how to survive, what to avoid, and new cropping techniques like growing corn. That led to a 50-year alliance between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag. Thanksgiving wasn't a national holiday until Abraham Lincoln decided it to be one in 1863.
Christmas is a holiday about spending time with your family and giving gifts to each other. But how did it come to this? Well, originally the holiday was a Roman tradition, but as Christianity spread across Europe, Christians adapted the tradition to Jesus' birthday. What about the customs of Christmas? Decorating Christmas trees was originally a tradition of Germanic tribes, where they decorated evergreen trees to worship their God. Christians later took the tradition and incorporated it into Christmas. And for Santa, he was a bishop named St. Nicholas, and he was very generous to the poor and often gave them gifts. He did many great deeds for people, and his name spread throughout the world, where we now call him Santa Claus.
Hanukkah is an 8-day Jewish holiday celebrating a miracle in the Jewish religion. Jewish people were participating in the dedication of a temple. During the dedication, they needed to keep the candles lit. They only had enough oil for the candles to last 1 day, but the flames flickered for 8 nights, which is why there's now an 8-day celebration.
If you want to give back this holiday season, you can donate toys to K223 in the CAS for Toys for Tots. You can earn 2 service hours for bringing 3 toys by December 11th. You can scan the QR code on the screen to purchase toys from Amazon. That's all for our show today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2024. I'm Izzy Klein, signing off for ECSN.